To kind of word of welcome and kick us off, we're going to ask President Armacost to do that. Thank you for hosting this one. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator Hoeven, and thanks to everybody for being here. What a great day this is to be able to celebrate a major achievement in unmanned operations here in the state of North Dakota. And this has been decades in the making, and the involvement of so many people from Grand Forks, from the FAA, from the test site, MITRE, our friends from Thales, who are making the technology happen. Today represents the culmination or the start of an activity that was announced about a year and a half ago at the UAS symposium here in Grand Forks. And at that point, the agreement between the test site, Thales, and the FAA would usher in a new era of flight operations across the state of North Dakota. And so today we're so proud to welcome the man who has been behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, pushing this along for decades, and that's Senator John Hoeven, who has been such a friend to all of us, and in particular here at the University of North Dakota. He's looking out for the interests of our state, for the nation, a principal architect of our national defense strategies and systems, and so we're so delighted to have him here today to talk about this effort, and actually I think to be involved in pressing a button later on. So please welcome Senator John Hoeven.
Thanks, President Armacost. And thanks for your incredible, strong leadership. I always say he's the right guy at the right time. It's with so many things where they go really well. You got the right people in the right place at the right time, and you epitomize that. President Armacost, thanks so much. And yes, you do have further duties, and so but we'll call you back up to help us with that in a few minutes. You're going to hear from Frank McIntosh, who is the CEO of the FAA Air Traffic Organization. We appreciate him and some others coming out. For some of them, they haven't seen the finest UAS ecosystem in the country, no, in the world, and they're going to get a chance to look at it today. But we're so appreciative of them being here, and even more appreciative of the way they've worked with us on this exciting project that we're kicking off officially today. Of course, Trevor Woods, our Executive Director for the Northern Plains Test Site. Again, right person, right place, right time. You'll hear from him talking about, this great announcement, this great system that we've built. Dean Gorder, who's the site lead for General Atomics, and he and I go way back to traveling the globe, trying to get some trade going. But we love General Atomics, obviously one of our favorite companies, and having Dean over there is, we're so fortunate for that. You'll hear from him because of the work General Atomics is going to do. They're already doing all kind of incredible things, but this is going to enable them to do more. And then Frank Vantis, who's the North Dakota manager for the Thales group, but it's really their technology that goes into our system. It's really the engine in the car, if you will. Now, our test site has been first in so many ways. First of all, they were the first test site. I mean, after we worked to develop the legislation and pass it in 2011. Amazingly enough, the first test site was right here at the University of North Dakota, where it should be, because we'd already been involved in UAS going all the way back to 2005 when I was governor. We set up the UAS Center of Excellence here at the Air Guard School, and they already had almost a decade of doing great work in UAS. So of course this was the first test site. It was the first one to do night flight. It was the first one to do really high altitude for large aircraft. It was the first one beyond visual line of sight. First after first after first. And as a result of that, our test site has built up an incredible confidence, incredible record with FAA. So when it comes to doing new things, there's a lot of places that want to do it, but not only they may not have the ability to do it, but even if they maybe do, they haven't built all that confidence and the expertise and the reliability that we have in order to get FAA's approval. And so that's a big part of why we were able to be here today, is because we have built that expertise and that ecosystem in all things UAS on top of the great aviation and aerospace, having the finest school of aviation and aerospace in the nation. And so really, today we are announcing that we are activating the FAA radar data feed. And why is that a big deal? Because that means we're going to be able to fly drones, counter-drone, UAS, throughout the whole state of North Dakota. Nobody else in the country can do that, right? Because we have the authorization from FAA first and foremost. That's something that I announced, as President Armcost said, 2 years ago at the, in October at the UAS conference, okay? But the whole point is to get from there to where we are today took 2 years because there's so much that goes into it. But essentially what it means is we can now fly UAS statewide in North Dakota. No other state can do that. And again, it just further cements our incredible leadership position in all things UAS, drone and counter drone. Okay, so how do we get here? Well, first off, and then what does it mean? But first, how do we get here? Well, in the FAA reauthorization legislation in 2024, we included language that directed the FAA to hand off the radar data feed to a non-federal entity, okay? And of course, we made sure that it was us. And frankly, FAA was on board with that. At that time, Michael Whitaker was the administrator, because he knew the only place in the country that had the expertise to do it is here in Grand Forks. Because of this incredible ecosystem, because of the incredible partners that we have, and because of the confidence and the reliability that we had demonstrated to FAA over the years. They knew they could count on us, right? So essentially, what does that mean? What it means is that we now have the ability on a statewide basis with the FAA radar data feed to see what FAA sees with their systems. So when they're doing air traffic control, they can see the aircraft, manned, unmanned, everything's out there flying around, right? Well, we now have that feed, so we plug that into our system. We can see that as well, and that's why we're able to fly unmanned aircraft without chase aircraft on a statewide basis, as we've been doing right here in the CONUS around Grand Forks. Now we can do it on statewide. That opens up incredible opportunities for us. And the second, in addition to that, it's one thing to get the authority, but the second part of that, and that's the really important part, to get from where we were in 2024, when we announced that we were getting this at the conference, when we'd done the legislative part, then we had to go to work and build all the systems, right? The computers, the radars, the software, all the technology, the capabilities, all those things that had to be built out. That has taken about 2 years to do, and that's why we're here today ready to activate the system, which we're going to do, but we're going to talk a little bit first, and then we're going to do it. And, and then what does that mean in terms of capabilities? I'll touch on that in a minute, but think of building an ecosystem to develop drone and counter drone. We not only had to get the legislative authority to do this, we had to put all these things in place to make it happen. If somebody else wants to do this, they got a lot of work to do and a long time to get where we are today. That is a massive competitive advantage in this business over any other state, anywhere else in the country. So 3 big competitive advantages. First, we can fly beyond visual line of sight without chase aircraft throughout the state of North Dakota. That's the first chart. And the white part there just shows you that below 3,000 feet, due to topographical reasons, you have some trouble seeing with the radars, because of the way radar works. But essentially what it's showing you is we're going from those small dark regions to a statewide system to fly unmanned vehicles, fly drone and counter drone. So number one, that's the first thing. The second thing, and obviously I mentioned that, but the second thing is counter drone. It also puts us in an incredible position to develop counter drone. And that means both for the military, but also for civilian uses. So we have been named the Point Defense Battle Lab for Air Combat Command. But now, as you saw, we recently just announced that we also have T-REX, which is the Technology Readiness Experimentation designation from the Department of Defense at Camp Grafton, meaning DoD-wide, Department of War-wide, we are developing technologies for counter-drone. That means not just Air Force and Space Force, right, but for Army and the other services, the intelligence community, all those guys, as well as for the border guys. You saw what happened down in El Paso, where they almost had to shut down air activity around the El Paso airport wall because of drone incursions on the southern border, we're going to develop those kind of technologies, whether it's kinetic, whether it's directed energy, whether it's cyber, all those kind of techniques to handle drones. And it's not just for the military. Think this year, 250th anniversary of America. We're having celebration. We're going to have huge gatherings all over, including a massive grand opening for the Theodore Roosevelt Library in the door. I mean, they're talking tens of thousands of people. Gee, what could go wrong? Well, one thing is drones, right? UAS. You've got to protect against that. Or how about the World Cup? Lots of gatherings, international gatherings for these great soccer games. Again, they have to worry about counter drone. That's the kind of thing we're developing, not just for the military, but for border and for civilian purposes and national security as well. So those are really key. And then the final is just research and development. Think about it. If you are General Atomics, and we think of them as the big guy, or even the bigger guys like North Dakota. So if you're a big publicly traded company, if you're an amazing entrepreneurial, big mid-sized company like General Atomics, or if you're a smaller company like AV, Blue Halo, all these ones that we're bringing in here now, and in their case, they're operating not just here in Grand Forks, but they're operating out in Bismarck. And we have some that, like Kendall, he's operating out in the energy patch, right, in western North Dakota, and a lot of other places too. We can do, it's not only the frequencies of the flights, it's the fact that we can do them in all these different situations. Where? In the NAS, in the national airspace. Where's the other place you can do it? You have to be on a range somewhere. And then you have to be scheduled. And then it's not really like flying in the NAS, is it? Because you don't have all the things you have to contend with, like, towns and all the other things that are in the NAS. This is real. You're not out on a range in some secluded area where no one else can fly in there. It's real time, it's live, and that's why in developing these things, this is the place to do it. And whether you're a big company, a middle-sized company, or a small entrepreneurial company that's just getting going, this is where you're going to come to do it. So let me do just a couple thanks, and then I'm going to introduce, well, I guess one other thing. So yesterday I had opportunities to meet with and speak both to the Secretary of Air Force, Troy Menck, and to Chief Staff of the Air Force, Kenneth Wilsbach. And both have been really supportive, and I expressed my appreciation, told them we're standing this up, and they're excited about it too. But I do have to mention, in the case of Ken Wilsbach, we had him out here in 24. And at that time, one of the number one things on his mind was all these drones flying over Langley Air Force Base, which is headquarters for Air Combat Command. And so he's got his beautiful F-22s and his F-35s and all these kind of things, and he's got these drones flying over. And it's driving him nuts. And so when he came out here, he saw what we had. He's been incredibly helpful. Both he and the Secretary have been incredibly helpful in helping us make this happen. And of course, most of all, these guys right here at FAA. But that relationship that we have with them is different than other places. It's a relationship that we've earned over more than 2 decades because of the great work that our folks do. I want to acknowledge we had President Armacosta up here. We're going to get him up here to activate this thing. Mayor Boshinsky as well. I want to acknowledge Mayor Boshinsky. Brandon's done an incredible job. And so Brandon, more excited when the men and women won Olympic gold or when UND wins the national championship in hockey? Which would be more exciting in person? Now, don't answer that. We love them both. But we're going to drag him up to help kick this thing off as well. Now, we got some legislators, and I want to thank them because the investment in this, in what we've done here, in this UAS ecosystem, there's a lot of federal investment, there's a lot of private investment, but there's a lot of state investment. And we don't want to take that for granted because we want that to continue. And our legislators have been just absolutely amazing in terms of that. We have Senator Barta, Senator Myers, Senator Murdahl. We have Representative Steeman, Representative Murphy, Representative Schauer, Representative Sanford, and Representative Ball. Did I miss, if I missed any, scream your name out as loud as you can. Okay, let's give them a round of applause and thank you. The CEO of of the FAA Air Traffic Organization is with us. I've also talked to the Administrator, Brian Bedford. He will be out. We're working on that. But we are extremely pleased to have with us today Frank McIntosh. This is, he's the man in this area, and so we're really pleased you can come out and see what we've got here. I think you're going to be very pleased. Most of all, we just want to thank you for being here and for the great working relationship.
Wow, good morning. There it is. Good morning. Good morning. Right, there, we should be excited. And how fortunate is the state of North Dakota to have such a passionate advocate for this new technology and for aviation. I'm an aviation geek. That's my job. I love the job that we do day in and day out. By the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our air traffic controller team and our technician team at Crown Forks. I was just there this morning providing incredible services. I'm so proud of what they do every single day, and a lot of their services is to University of North Dakota and their flight school. So it was great seeing them providing those services. Also, what a beautiful campus that you have here. I was just totally amazed when I walked in. So excited to be here, so excited and proud of the UND Aerospace program. That's home of our new enhanced collegiate training initiative. We're hiring 2,300 new controllers, and our best and brightest, we look forward to getting some of those best and brightest from this esteemed university. So thank you for having us. It is an honor to be here, distinguished guests or distinguished colleagues, industry partners, and representatives of the aviation community. I want to extend a special thank you sincerely from the ATO and from the FAA to Senator Hogan and his team. What you have done for UAS, counter UAS, and for beyond visual line of sight, what we call BV loss, is a quantum leap in technology and how we continue to modernize the national airspace system. We wouldn't be able to do these quantum leaps without the advocacy of senators like Mr. Hogan. So thank you, sir. Let's talk about this forward-looking initiative underway in the United States. That is the North Dakota Vantis system. What it really is, folks, is it is a true testament to the magic of what can occur when we have the federal government, the state governments, and industry partners collaborate and work together on bringing something like this forward. Without transparency, without advocacy, and that true collaboration, we wouldn't be able to move things like this forward. We often talk about what are the impacts to commercial airliners. The National Airspace System is much more than just commercial air traffic. It is also UAS technologies, commercial space. How do we implement? How do we implement safely? How do we modernize the National Airspace System from the years of Kitty Hawk to where we are today? Think about how much the National Airspace System has changed over the last 10 years and our efforts to modernize. We need to just not take a look at what we're doing today, but what's the National Airspace System going to look 10 years from now, 20 years from now? It's because of innovations that we're doing here in North Dakota and the advocacy through Senator Hogan and his team that we see those quantum leaps continue and to progress. These accomplishments represent an important moment and milestone for the FAA, and it reflects our key commitment to our interagency partners. So thank you very much. I want to speak from the air traffic operations perspective. My line of business, it really demonstrates on how we can introduce this kind of technology that is not just helpful to the U.S. traveling public, but is actually going to be the pathway and blueprint forward for all technologies. What we are doing here is scalable. We can move this forward. It is a representative of what the modernization of the airspace is going to look like, and it's going to be part of our workforce evolution. The controllers that we had yesterday and today are going to look different in how they work, and it's because of these technologies. And as we look to expand, we're very excited about having the partnership that we built here today, we've built over the years and decades, but more importantly, at the friendships and the colleagues that we've built to build a better generation for tomorrow's traveling public. I just ultimately want to say that our shared objectives are clearly safety, safety first, but innovation paired with that safety. As long as safety is always at the forefront of our goals, and we can continue to collaborate and work together with these fine individuals that are behind me, and with the advocacy of Senator Hogan and his team, great things are upon us. So with that, I want to get back some time, but I'm super excited to be here. I'm super impressed with the work that's being done, and I look forward to pressing this button that you're saying, sir.
Thank you. So I better see this the right way, or trouble will be mad at me. You know, we started on unmanned back in 2005, and we kept trying to get the FAA to let us fly unmanned aircraft around here, and they kept saying no, which is why I actually had to pass a bill in 2011 to say, no, you have to. So, the point being is, they're about safety first. I mean, part of the reason they kept saying no is because if there weren't unmanned aircraft up there, you couldn't have an accident. But the reality is they have to be about, I mean, they have to make sure they get it right every time. And again, that goes back to the incredible work that you all do. You know, they don't hand these things out, you earn them. And our crews earned them, and a guy that's been leading that charge in terms of earning them, and I will say this properly now, Trevor, because I know you're going to correct me, in standing up the Vantis Federal Radar Data Enclave. He's an expert, so if that rolls off his tongue, for me it's a little much longer. But come on up, Trevor. Thanks for your incredible work.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. And I think it was last fall, the Senator and I just did an interview talking a lot about the history of North Dakota. And he mentioned, you know, being the first test site, and I'd like to tell a little bit of the story. I probably mentioned it before, but you know, I was here. I was not in this role. I was an operational person. There are some in the crowd here, Mark Askelson and Chris Tyson, who were there at the very beginning as well, helping stand up what this test site is today. But a little trivia, I don't know if this is documented, I don't know if the FAA will ever acknowledge this, and I don't expect them to, but my understanding is we did beat Alaska by an hour getting an airplane off the ground, so I'm pretty proud of that. Now, tremendous respect for my counterparts at the other test sites. We all work together, we're all trying to really move the needle on this, but yeah, we were the first test site by an hour, so.
Not even close.
So why are we here today? Senator had it right, the Vantis Federal Radar Data Enclave. We're finally able to announce and talk about this publicly. We thank the Senator from being able to announce this at the UAS Summit a couple of years ago. It's been a grind, and the history on this extends even further back. You know, early on, we have a lot of history here with the university, with the test sites, really tackling the first. And we really paved way at extending the ability to fly beyond visual line of sight. However, we really wanted to find a way to scale that up. We wanted to make it repeatable. We didn't want to just make it work in one little environment. And so we created something called Vantis. And Vantis is really an architecture. It's a blueprint that allows that to happen. And we deployed it in North Dakota first. And on that map that the Senator talked about, the blue areas was the initial operational volume under Vantis. The challenge is that that's predicated on the state of North Dakota deploying those radars. And we knew that there's this national surveillance system out there that the taxpayers have already funded. And we said, hey, how could we bring that into our system? And so several years ago, we approached the Federal Aviation Administration, took a trip down there and said, you know, what if you certified this system no different than other aviation infrastructure that states invest in, other navigational aids that states will invest in? And the FAA said, that's a novel idea, but we don't know how to do that. And so over the course of years, we've had lots of conversations, we've built up different processes, we created performance requirements, performance standards, and we used Vantis to really build that all up and eventually got some of the initial and first approvals that have ever been obtained for a system like that. But that's what we're doing here, is the FAA finally looks at Vantis and says it can meet all of the security requirements necessary to ingest that federal radar data and be able to fuse it with our own sensors. And there's a point in the future we might even be able to share that information back with the Federal Aviation Administration and other users of the NAS to enhance the safety and use of the National Airspace System. And the Senator is absolutely right. This is unmanned aircraft, but to me, I'm a traditional Part 61 pilot. I'm also an unmanned pilot. It's an aircraft at the end of the day. Whether I'm on board the airplane or not, it is an airplane flying through the national airspace system, and it must be safe, and it must be able to interact with the NASA. And this system allows us to do that. The other part of that is counter-UAS. We have to be able to have airspace traffic management out there that lets us see who's out there, what you're doing, making sure that we're all working together so that when I'm flying and the other pilot's flying, that we can work together. But there are threats out there that have to be managed, and that's part of what this can do as well. Being a secure system allows shared users, users that are authorized to be able to look at the data and be able to assess if there is somebody nefariously taking an unmanned aircraft and wanting to fly it somewhere where it shouldn't be. The Point Defense Battle Lab is a great example of that. This is the type of capability that they can look at and be able to see that 5 unmanned aircraft are out there, they're fully compliant, and they're out there just doing their thing. But the 6th one, yeah, we should probably do some follow-up and just make sure that if that person's just not broadcasting their information, we can go find out and follow up with that. So that's what we're here for. This is a governed environment for surveillance radars that enhances the safety and operations of the National Airspace System. We have this graphic here in the front because we've talked a lot about the Federal Enclave, and it's hard to get your head wrapped around what that is. And so the team, we tried to put a visual together to capture that. And on the one side, you'll see we'll call it the inputs. These are the state radars, the federal radars, other sources of information in the future, perhaps beacons on the airplane that are broadcasting their information. All of that information runs through a secure environment into the center part of that graphic, which is what we call the enclave. The enclave is a physical structure. It is also a virtual structure that has security protocols in place so that not just anybody can access that information. That information is run out at our operations center, out at the Grand Sky Business Park, US Business Park. And that is where we can manipulate, control, and fuse that data. And then on the other side of the graphic, those are the end users who can use that information. Senator Hogan said this opens up the entire state of North Dakota for beyond visual line of sight. He's absolutely correct. But when our friends at the FAA are willing to let us do this, we could also bring this capability to other states in the U.S. as well. And my personal belief is, although North Dakota has paved the way for this, this can really open up the safety and operations of the NAS across the United States, and North Dakota is really leading the way to do that. And that matters. I've said safety many times over. That's really what this is about. We need to have unmanned aircraft operate like traditional airplane, that we can be able to see and maintain separation from them. We need to be able to maintain national security with some of our critical infrastructure. We don't want nefarious acts of those drones being used. But the most important part of this whole thing is the collaboration that has occurred to get here. This has been a monumental milestone at the state level. We've had to have the executive branch of government, Kelly Armstrong's administration and all of his staff, the legislators that are here, the legislators that are not here, the biennium over biennium funding that has allowed us to continue to pursue this effort. In our relationship with the Federal Aviation Administration, I cherish very closely. This really is something unique, it's something special. We would not be able to do this without our friends at the FAA. We spend a lot of time working with them, asking how can we help solve your problems, because if we work together, we enhance North Dakota, but we also enhance the entire aviation system. And so with that, I'll say this is really a blueprint for the rest of the United States. Right here in North Dakota, we're demonstrating how to do this right, and everyone's looking to North Dakota on how to expand this in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor, again, and great work to you and to your team. I see Corey Mox here with the Armstrong administration. I want a special shout out to Kelly as well. Governor Armstrong, his support's been fabulous, along with these great legislators that we mentioned. Doesn't happen without you guys, so thank you. This next guy, Dean Gore, is a site lead for General Atomics. We really knew that there was a lot that went into getting Grand Sky, and of course, Tom Shorter is a champ in every way, but it's like a shopping center. When you get those 2 anchor tenants, then you know you're on your way. And actually, GA was the first anchor tenant, and then Northrop Grumman. And we don't forget that. So, Dean, tell us what you're going to do with this new system. All right.
site. I've been with GA only about 6 years, but just watching what's developed, I've myself have developed some pretty strong opinions about this. So one of the key elements, and I'm going to go back a little bit in history, if you think about how Grand Sky, so the term ecosystem has come up several times, that particular ecosystem is what got GA here. So I'll tell one story. The CEO, Lyndon Blue, was driving around an empty parking lot or empty field on the southwest corner of the Grand Forks Air Force Base. And I asked him one time, I said, so how did you finally make the determination to lease several lots of land on here and start an operation? And his response was, I got COVID. So I think your salesmanship is extraordinary. A couple just kind of facts. So we train pilots here at the Grand Forks Air Force Base. We do it day in, day out. We use simulation, we use live aircraft, we use remote operations. But one of the features that has always kind of bugged me about this is that we routinely fly airplanes between here and California. So GA has 2 airfields up there, and it's just normal operation. We need to have an aircraft there for something, or one up here, we fly it back and forth. So when we leave Grand Forks, we take off, no chase airplane, we climb up to 18,000 feet, we follow our COA, we get down into California, and we are then required to descend in the Edwards test range. Right? Once the aircraft is ready to depart the Edwards test range, a chase plane must meet it and escort it the last 8 miles to the airfield. So what I see this particular project doing over time is eliminating that last, it's kind of like in the transportation business, the last mile. And so I'm extremely excited that this is going to open up all kinds of new opportunities, and specifically I'll mention 2. One is the fact that a lot of pilots in the room being around the UND campus, so you're going to file an instrument flight plan, you got to look at the weather, you look at the TAF, and you say, okay, I need to file an alternate. Well, guess what? There is no alternate when you're flying a drone out of Grand Forks Air Force Base because the DV loss is very narrow. So this, I mentioned this earlier, but that is a huge opportunity for us. It opens up our window where we can fly. It increases safety because now we can take off, and instead of having to orbit for, likely we can orbit for 20 hours, but you sit there at orbit and burning fuel, we can now divert to another airport and land and catch the airplane and press on. So that's what I see as the single greatest issue here. You know, if you look at the progression of this, there's one area, and Aaron and Trevor and I have talked about this quite a bit. The business that we're currently in, one of the primary concerns is ship traffic. So a lot of our customers are using them in various parts of the world, and they're using a whole host of imagery capture and sensor capture and to identify what ship that is, what's it doing, where is it going. So one of the things that I think Aaron told me in the last few weeks, that Aaron interpreted actually, there is the opportunity to add additional radars. So my request, the first one I'm very interested in is Duluth, because it then gets us to the Great Lakes, and we can now satisfy that maritime requirement that currently with large UAS you cannot fly more than 12 miles off the coast. But being the Great Lakes are not part of that defense zone, it opens up a whole new area of training again. And it's simply from a parochial standpoint, it just brings more business to Grand Forks, which I think is good for all of us. So with that, thank you very much.
Okay, and again, it's all about great partners. I mean, and there's so many of them, but they all have to be not only great partners in terms of the relationship, but they have to have great technology. And certainly that's the case with the Talos Group. And the North Dakota manager for the Talos Group is with us to talk a little bit about the technology that, like I said, that's really the engine in this new enclave. Frank Mass.
Morning, everybody. Thank you you, Senator. Thank you to all the legislators in the room. Thank you to Governor Armstrong. And a little over a year ago, we were in Bismarck talking about the importance of this project. And even prior to that, there was this idea that if we could expand the coverage volume of the Vantis network to include mission and safety critical data that the FAA uses every day to separate manned aviators, and bring that into the UAS system we have called Vantis, that would dramatically change how beyond visual line of sight flights could take place across the country. So working with our state legislature last year, and thank you again to the legislators that supported us for the emergency declaration to keep the funding going for the Vantis program and allow us to have this moment today. This is truly, it's your win as well, not only for the federal government and the FAA, but the state support in what you've put into the network, what you put into the trust and the partnership and ecosystem that we built here in the great state of North Dakota, that can't be certainly understated. So I have the honor of being up here representing a company that does everything from printing your passports to putting chips on your credit card to secure your financial transactions to providing landing systems at airports that help our public be guided home safely every day. Our mission is, in our tagline is, we're building a future that we can all trust, and that's something that we really take seriously every day. So this program here in North Dakota is really transformational, not only for Thales, but also the industry. The state had trusted us with a partnership a little over 7 years ago to come in, and as one of the largest air traffic management companies in the world, bring some of the technology, the expertise, the personnel here to the state to drastically change the future of aviation. So we talk about the Radar Data Enclave and what it means to the state of North Dakota, but we have an opportunity in front of us now to look at how we're redesigning a brand new air traffic control system. So last year it was announced that the United States FAA and Department of Transportation will really change how aviation is done in this country. And we have a generational opportunity to take what we've done here in North Dakota, apply it to what's being done at the federal level to dynamically change, drastically change everything that we know about air traffic control and have a generational leap forward. So the technologies that underpin the Vantis system, cloud native technologies, cybersecurity that is unmatched anywhere in the aviation infrastructure, anywhere in the world, will play a key part in advancing our nation's air traffic control system. This is an American project. This is our moment as a country. This is our moment to reshape how air traffic control is done, not only in the United States, but around the world. So surveillance going into the Vantis system, both from the state's infrastructure standpoint, as well as what we bring from the federal enclave, is going to help transform and enable the Department of Transportation's Advanced Air Mobility Plan and the new Part 108, Part 146 rules that will dramatically open up beyond visual line of sight flights across our country. This is the blueprint. We've heard all of our speakers talk about that today. This is the blueprint for how our nation is going to maintain that gold standard, maintain that leadership globally, and will be that model. So I want to underpin kind of two things here. First is the cybersecurity aspect of what we're doing. It's taken many years to do this because nobody's done this. This is the first time that anywhere in aviation that we've built an enclave from a cybersecurity standpoint with the highest levels of cyber to a physical facility that, quite honestly, I don't think when we started this we recognized how difficult it would be to harden our facilities, both cyber-wise and physical security, to be able to be prepared for this moment. The FAA has entrusted the state of North Dakota, has entrusted Thales, has entrusted our other ecosystem partners to maintain the safety and security of the national airspace system. It's a moment that, for the second part of what I wanted to say, is that this is our moment. This is our opportunity to lead the country, to lead the world, to make this truly an American project, to really launch the next generation, the brand new ATC system. So congratulations to the test site, to my team that's here from Thales that put in the hard work along with the test site, North Dakota IT and Corey and his team, the state government, the legislators that supported us, Senator Hogan. Thank you for this, and we look forward to changing the dynamics of the national airspace system. So thank you.
activate the system. Hope it works. Mayor, come on up here. Mr. President, please come up, join us. You guys get up around here. Now, get over here, Trevor. You and I are going to press the button. Everyone gather. You want to give a quick benediction before you press the button? Come on up here and say something. You said I could be in town as long as I was gone by sundown. Say something. You don't want to press. Say something. Come on. You always want to say something like.
If we got to this point, we need God's help.
No, I don't mean a real benediction. I just want to see if you had anything. Thanks for joining us. Okay, now we're going to press the button, right?
Yeah, the plan is
Yeah, tell them what's going to happen.
so
Something good.
something good, right? So to turn the enclave on, this is a secure system, and so what we would rather have done is had you in the operations center, but the joke was when I was working with the senator on this is we're going to flip the switch, and then all the screens would go dark because you're not clearance to see the data. So we had to set this all up, and instead we've got a button that we can turn on the system. We'll have a feed over there that we've been able to make it work for today's environment, but we're going to push the button. We'll do a countdown, 3, 2, 1. We'll push the button, and then we should see the status turn on the enclave. So, ready to do this?
This better work.
Better work. Okay. All right.
This-
3.
no, wait, what's the button right here?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the button there. Ready?
I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, and then push the button. You don't push it on one. 3, 2, 1. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Activate it. Is something showing back there?